Welcome. Hi, Maria. Welcome to another episode of TMI TBI. I am
Good
one of your
morning,
hosts,
Zach. Good to
Zach
see you.
Smith. Good morning. Good to see you too. Before we jumped on, you were telling me about some neck pain.
Yes, I'm having some neck pain. I was at the Korean spa getting scrubbed down yesterday, and
What does
metal
that
plates
mean?
in your neck. What's that?
What does scrub down mean? Like literally scrub down like a car
Yeah,
wash?
like literally, you see probably a pound or two of your flesh and grime scrubbed off your body and discarded on a bed that's made out of like pleather material.
Why with metal plates in your head is it just not as
I feel like
comfortable
just my
or
head getting turned side to side for the scrubbing action creates a little discomfort, but I'm here to tell the tale. And yeah, and just a quick intro, I'm Maria Dahlbotten. I'm a licensed
we're
mental
still
health
working
counselor
we're still working on
and
this.
a survivor. And this is my very lovely co host, Zachary Smith, who is a CPA and a brain injury survivor.
It's all true.
And what did you do this weekend?
I was protecting it's summertime and was protecting my dogs and myself from fireworks. So we left town because my neighborhood is crazy. It's like a war zone. And so we holed up in a hotel and it was great for avoiding fireworks, but otherwise it was just kind of a weird experience to just sort of it's a kind of what I imagine people felt being quarantined for COVID. It was like we were able to go out and stuff, but it wasn't really an environment we knew. Ate some amazing California Pizza Kitchen, not gonna be a sponsor. Made me feel sick.
Oh boy. Well, I also
So
just
gross.
feel like I went away for the couple of days before the 4th of July. And granted, I was pretty fatigued and tired, like going into that trip. But even though it was a short trip, I just realized all my sort of necessities and routine items that are in my home that when you go on a trip, even if it's like I'm not flying or I'm not, it's just all these tiny little things that you do or that you have that create a lot of comfort. And when you have a brain injury, I think those things become your routines and become something you can depend on and really create a rhythm to your day that feels manageable. So even if it's just like you're just at a hotel maybe 10 miles from your house, or I don't know where you were, but it's still
Exactly, that's
jarring.
where we were. Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. And I found myself a few times kind of feeling a little like short tempered. And I think I mean, you have to ask my wife, but I think I was able to kind of in the moment be like, okay, this this isn't like a normal setting. On some subconscious level, I'm on edge, and this is how it's surfacing.
Yeah. And
So,
and I think it's so easy to forget. I know your injury was only 4 years ago, but like that is totally a symptom of fatigue, which is a symptom of brain injury, is to feel agitated or irritable, um, because there's a part of your brain that's trying to like acclimate to this new setting and new environment, and you can't, or it's difficult. And so I think kudos to you for starting to recognize something's different and naming kind of the agitation or irritation. And so neat that your wife is like right there on board with you to kind of talk it through. But it's hard for both parties because it's like, and what do we do? We don't, like we said, we don't have any of those comforts.
yeah. I mean, we went into the weekend both of us thinking, "Oh, we're going to work all weekend and we're going to get so much accomplished." And yeah, just the kind of lack of familiarity and a comfortable setting sort of restricted any opportunity to want to work, let alone get anything done. So I guess a question that I have for you is, because you can't always be home, you can't always be in your comfort zone when you are, because of life, forced to sort of alter your normal, maybe if just for a few days. What are some things that people can do who've experienced a brain injury to try to ground themselves?
I love that you said ground yourself, and to go back to kind of what we were talking about at the beginning about like routine for me and my family. And for me, when I didn't have a family, I think I would have really benefited from having like a paper schedule or routine for the time that I was gone. So even though I am out of the zone where I know what everything is and I know what comes next, there's a lot more up in the air, but planning for as much as I can. So sometimes that means a really hour by hour schedule that includes rest time or breaks from big groups, if that's part of what it is that is the space that you're traveling to. Um, Making sure that on there is like meal times, because I think for a lot of people with brain injury there can be a lot of discomfort that then shows up as anger or agitation when the person basic structural needs, eating, sleeping, drinking water, when those things are taken away from them, then there is just more bubbling up that can kind of look like anger and be very difficult to explain or communicate to another person because the fatigue is there. So I think, sort of helping your future self by setting a schedule before you go on that, even if it is a 2 day or 3 day thing, even if it is nearby, writing out step by step what's happening.
Yeah, well, that's a great call. I mean, I'm just thinking like I sort of set myself up for failure too by I, I didn't bring my water bottle. Like I bring my water bottle everywhere. And I got to our destination and I didn't have my water bottle, and I drink 100 ounces of water a day. And it was just that first sort of shift in my normal that kind of set everything off, I think, for the next couple of days. So I like that, writing down
And
kind
I'm
of your
so glad
basic
you,
needs and meeting them. And
yeah, the hour by hour. But with the water bottle, it's crazy you bring that up because I was like getting my things for the car ride to where we were going. And I had set my cup of my huge Nalgene water bottle on the top of the car and my coffee. And then the Nalgene water bottle rolled under the car. And I'm like, okay, I'll get that. And then I went to do something and I never got that. And so, same as you, we were like in the line for the ferry boat. And I'm like, where's my Nalgene? And I realized I totally left it rolled under the car. And I think for people with brain injuries too, I would love to get someone to tell us the details on this, but water is huge. Like it is, I think we get dehydrated easier. I think it impacts our body's ability to regulate temperature, and having that extra water somehow buffers it. I have talked to so many brain injured people, both in the community, friends, as well as clients who water impacts their pain, their headache, all these different types of things. And then just the feeling of being like so parched, which I'm sure if your body is used to having whatever large amount you just described, then that would make sense that not having any water is going to make you feel disgusting and agitated. But anyway, just a similar thing. And
yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, it makes sense. So everybody drink your water, right?
drink your water now. Get to it.
We're not telling you what to do on this podcast, but drink your water.
Some light suggestions.
Just a suggestion.
And someday we'll have some medical provider to back that this is really important.
Exactly. Yes.
But again, like it's that thing too of like brain injury survivors, I think know a lot more about what is going to make you feel okay in your body. And that's the point. That's the point of this podcast for sure, is like, it's we don't have the medical backgrounds to prove everything, but we're telling you for your personal entertainment that this might be good to do.
Yeah. No, totally. And I think that's kind of one of the reasons you and I really wanted to do this was the lack of information
Or easy
out
to
there.
read. Like so much that's on there. You Google something related to your brain injury and it's like a scientific study. There's no bullet points. There's no how to. It's very difficult to process, especially if you have a brain injury with difficulty processing or cognitive challenges.
Yeah. It's yeah, not set up for victory there. So maybe we can start doing cartoons, stick figure cartoon. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, in the brain injury model systems, which is like, you can Google it, and they do tons of beautiful cartoons that are really easy to process for brain injured people. And I think some of their staff has brain injury. So there's, yeah,
Is this an organization that does
it's
this,
an
or
organization, I
what's it
think, through
called?
University of Washington, and it's called TBI Model Systems.
Wow. So
Yeah,
everybody look that up. TBI
we'll
model
link it above.
systems. Yeah. If once we figure out how to do that.
I've been doing it
Oh, you have?
just for
Awesome.
noticing.
Yes, I've been really researching and looking at all of the stuff we've been creating. So, um, well, we have a listener voicemail. Um, I am concerned that my headphones are going to obscure listening to it between the two Apple products, but you don't have the voice memo on your. I will read it or I will play it. And hopefully, you got to tell me if you can hear it or not. Maybe I should just put it up to my head or something. I have no idea what to do here. Um,
I was in a car accident in January and, without knowing it at the time, got a concussion. Didn't actually hit my head against any part of the car, but my brain slamming against my skull caused some damage throughout. And here I am 6 months later, still with symptoms of post-concussion syndrome and herniated discs in my neck and my back. I am someone who, for my entire life, has played soccer without any known concussions or major injuries. And soccer to me is truly my therapy. It's exercise. It's a community outside of work and home, and it's been part of my childhood as well as my adult life. And due to ongoing headaches and the sensitivity of my brain, I had to stop playing for 3 months. And I'm slowly easing back into it. And I wear a protective headband, and I take all sorts of supplements, anti-inflammatory supplements. But with my sort of constant headaches, although on the surface I'm functional and can get through my day in a relatively normal fashion, I wonder if
Thank you so much, Lauren, for sending in that call. And I wish my dog would stop barking.
Such a rough one, and we can
Yeah.
always mute if we need to. Um, I think the things that are really standing out to me from the caller are just some of the grief surrounding what you potentially lose when you have a brain injury. This thing that she's describing with soccer is like her therapy, and something that she's had in her life forever. Uh, and I hear her saying that she's gone back and is wearing protective headband, which I don't know what that is. And this is coming on the heels of my spouse and kids going to a soccer game that ended because of a potential head injury just yesterday.
Wow.
So, I mean, I think that it's such a hard thing, and it's your brain and it's your body. Repetitive concussion syndrome is a big issue for people. And like you mentioned, Lauren, you are putting yourself at risk. And at the same time, the joy that it brings you is so important. Um, so that's a lot to consider. And just knowing that you probably got the clear from your doctors and all of that, you know, you've made the decision to go back. And yeah, I just think you can look at it and say that's the choice I've made, or you can look at it the other way and ultimately change your role, maybe be a coach on the sideline, something that does give you ultimately even more protection. And and know that you're going to go through some serious grieving of that part of your life and that part of you that perhaps is not going to feel safe on the field.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's a lot, there's the field component and the soccer as respite component of her message, but there's so much there that I thought was interesting. And, so many car accidents can be catastrophic. And I think we've talked a little bit about kind of this spectrum of brain injury where there's like the catastrophic to kind of the mild and everything in between, and not really having a template or a model or a plan to help people. And I mean, the fact that she's having headaches, I mean, she didn't suffer a concussion. Her brain got jostled around in her skull. And from talking to her as a friend, I know like there's not a lot of support from the medical community. And her dad is a physician, and he tries to tell her stuff to do, and I think that's why she's doing the supplements and things like that. But I think, when you suffer a mild injury too and you're having ongoing symptoms, it's a lonely feeling. I think we both know from experience, because you don't want to be a Debbie Downer and be like, hey friend, let's talk again about how I'm having headaches all day long.
Yeah.
Or I'm having trouble getting through the day because I just don't feel like myself. Or, just kind of, yeah, like you said, the grieving kind of a previous self too it's not easy. And, I'm trying to push her to get into swimming. But I mean, my own experience with that was, I'm a swimmer, and after my brain injury, I questioned whether I could continue swimming because of kind of just the rotation of my neck, but really because I do flip turns in the water. So I'm basically doing a somersault. Is that okay for my brain? And I think a lot of it was trial and error, and, maybe swimming more casually, slowly, not doing the flip turn for a while, and then maybe trying one, seeing how that felt, and just a little bit of experimentation. But soccer is a different beast just because it's such a physical contact sport.
But I mean, I
And
think you're right, even saying that about the flip turn, because I do know clients who have had brain injury from flip turn.
from
Um,
flip turn.
mhm. And I
Really?
think from missing and like hitting the wall or something like
Oh,
that, so it may have been they were at a different place in their recovery than you are, and it sounds like you've made choices surrounding that. Um, yeah, I mean, you can get a brain injury from a lot of things. And so I like what you're saying. And I think you bring up a really good point too, as she mentioned stuff about discs and neck pain, or maybe it was lower back. I did hear her say she's post concussion. So I don't know if I misunderstood her there. It looks like it was labeled that way. But I heard someone, this was more in line with like broken neck, doing pickleball, and they said that it's the most relief they've ever had in their life for their neck. And they had their injury 20 years ago too, and they started doing pickleball daily a year ago, and they have a ton of relief in their neck. So I do think there's something about moving around in this area, where it is swimming or pickleballing, that seems to be giving people a lot of relief. And so much of the occipital nerves, that like where the neck and the base of the head meet, is where headache and migraine stem from for many people that I've worked with, and I know for myself. And so if there are things you can do to loosen that up, I'm sure it would be potential help for migraine and headache. And I know there are a lot of people, there's like the triptans and the different medications. There are
What's a triptan?
It's a type of medication you take at like onset of migraine, which I don't know if that's what she's talking about. But there's also things like Botox that I know I have experimented with and has been really helpful for me with both my neck pain and my migraines and headaches. So I think the only challenge is it takes a long time to really get to the place where your physician is able to prescribe that. And so being sure that you're really vocal about the challenges you're having and making sure those things are documented potentially can help you get the services you need, even if you don't have a head injury where there's exposure of your brain and blood and skull reconstructive surgery.
You just talking about documenting, I'm curious if journaling is something that you recommend for clients when it comes to their brain injury, if that's something that helps to sort of track progress, but also get some of these emotions and feelings down on paper and out of your head. Is that a thing that you'd recommend?
Absolutely. I think if people have the bandwidth, have the mental energy to journal, it can be really challenging. And so the neat thing about a lot of phones, I talk about this like it's rocket science, but the like using talking to your phone to make it in like notes on your phone. Do you read me? I don't know if that makes sense, but even saying like bullet point, I'm having headaches when I wake up. Bullet point, I'm feeling really fatigued by 3 p.m. Bullet point, if I don't eat breakfast, I yell at people. Bullet point, and sort of doing it verbally, because sometimes putting hand to paper can be a challenge, and finding paper can be a challenge, and finding a pen can be a challenge. So it's like doing what works for you. And I think there's two reasons that's helpful. Yes, getting it off your chest, and that might be more in that journaling to paper, sort of just writing it out as like a therapeutic modality. But I also think keeping track somewhere of what's happening for you in regards to your health and in regards to your brain can be extraordinarily helpful, so that when you get to the doctor's office and you might be feeling overwhelmed, perhaps it was a lot of different modes of transportation to get there, or parking was difficult, or whatever it might be, check-in was hard, they don't take your insurance anymore, whatever. Having that list of things that have been happening before that day, having that to look back at so you can give your doctor the symptoms that you're dealing with, is very important. And I'd love to do a whole podcast surrounding that, because I think there's a lot to help those sessions with your doctors be successful. But I do think, like you said, keeping a journal for your own emotional bandwidth and your own emotional well-being, but also keeping some record of what your symptoms are.
Yeah, makes sense. And to see what kind of progress you make too, right?
Absolutely.
To see your growth and feel proud of how far you've come, and pat yourself on the back for the adversity that you're dealing with. And and celebrate, because I think getting through the day is an achievement, right? and
Absolutely.
and
And
it's not always celebrated in a way that it can be.
yeah, I think there is so much we've talked about before, the negative bias that all humans have, and brain injured people have that even more. And there, like you said, there's more adversity, there's more that we're up against to get through a day. So, absolutely celebrating the little wins. Like, celebrate if you wrote those things down on your phone, or that you did the talk to text to get it down, or send it to your caregiver or helper person. And celebrate that, and celebrate when you had a really delicious bite of chocolate cake, or that you made cinnamon sugar toast, or that you
There's a
got
theme here.
oh, Mr. Candyman, tell him your tales. I'm not as bad as you.
I'm trying. I'm getting better. I do. To circle back to Lauren and her injury, though, like, I think she should be really proud of the bravery and courage she's demonstrating to get back out on the field and doing it in a way that allows her to enjoy something that she's enjoyed her entire life in spite of this setback.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I to piggyback on that, I think if you are making that choice to be on the field, she mentioned protective. I think she said headband, but if she said headgear, I know for like rugby players and different people there's a bit more serious headgear. I would just look into that. I would think more about like how do I do this and feel the most absolute most, the most of the most with a cherry on top protected, and
Yeah.
do that. And I'm the type of person that, like, there have been times where I wore a helmet in my car when I was driving because I was feeling unsafe, and I felt safer when I had that on. Or, I don't really ride bikes unless it's in a very, very safe, like promenade type of thing, like not near the streets. There's different things that different people do to make them feel, the most, kind of at ease, so they can actually enjoy the things that they are doing without just being scared and worried. And if looking kind of dorky in a helmet is the worst thing, like, sign me up.
Yeah. I get that. I'm a little more vain than you, so I just don't do those things.
Yeah, to each his own. To each his own, Zaki.
I mean, I guess I kind of know the answer to this question before I even ask it, but with my propensity toward candy, I feel like that sort of instant gratification has long term negative effects when it comes to my brain. I feel like I know, sort of shifting subjects here, but it feels great going down, then it doesn't feel that great once it's settled, and then sort of the withdrawal from it, I think, has had increasingly negative ramifications.
Yeah.
And so my stepson likes to tell me that fruit is the candy of is nature's candy, and that
Mm-hmm.
it's the best candy of them all. And I don't disagree with him, but
Yeah,
um, it's not always optimal. Whereas a Skittle is always a Skittle.
totally.
Uh, and a Mike and Ike is always a Mike and Ike, and a jelly bean is always a jelly bean. But I do think we've talked a little bit about impulse control as a result of brain injury. And, I definitely notice for myself that in times of stress, I will reach for that candy.
Yeah.
And, there are some tactics that I try to take to stop myself from actually grasping it. I'll like try to do some push-ups, or I'll chug some
Mm-hmm.
water,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. But doesn't always work, and then I eat the candy, and then it's kind of a negative spiral of
Yeah.
self-talk, and
There are so many places to go here.
yeah.
First, I'll start with what I like to talk about, which is just a flashback I had over the 4th of July with my kids. They missed the fun day at their swim practice, And I remembered our 4th of July swim practice for swim team way back in the day where the coaches just threw like huge handfuls of Skittles and then we dove down for them. And we're just like eating Skittles off the bottom of the pool, which is
That's so
now,
disgusting.
but definitely just shows you how much I love candy and still do, let's be honest. Um, the second thing I was going to say is the stop button weaker, I think, for people with a brain injury. And so my sister, for the first Christmas after my injury, made like I think 300 cookies, and I probably ate 100 of them because I just couldn't stop. I was just like, and sugar is mama's milk. It's like what we came into this world having, and we like sweets. And so I love that you figured out some strategies to like exercise or, drink some water. I think saying absolutely no, I'm not going to have this, that's crazy. I'm not going to say that to anyone, don't have candy. But I think making sure that you are full, that you have like had real food, even if it's like, well, I just ate breakfast. It's like maybe go have a Greek yogurt and then have some candy. Um, but your brain is probably going to want more and more and more. So also perhaps buying or only having certain amounts that you're comfortable eating in one sitting. And to combat my fatigue, was at Trader Joe's and I saw these cute little candy bars that have caffeine. And I ate a whole one because I just like couldn't stop myself. And they're not huge. It's like in the pack, it breaks down to 4 little bars. I was like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh," like so much caffeine in these little bars. And honestly, I I felt like I was on like drugs. I felt like I was bouncing off the walls. And so now I've realized just have one of those tiny squares and it kind of helps me both like scratch the sugar itch, but it also gives me a little caffeine boost. Um, anyway, but that's just to tell you that that's been very hard. And only because I had that horrible experience have I trained my brain not to eat the whole chocolate bar. So those are just some things to consider, but I think you're right. And like, yeah, so only bringing yourself a smaller amount and if you can, but obviously you've got a house full of people eating nature's sweet candy and thinking about too, how can I dazzle these nature sweet candies up? Like, is it freezing a grape or eating frozen blueberries or is it, baking an apple? Like what makes it so it's kind of like, this is a little more funky fun.
Yeah. Were you just itching your armpit?
What about it?
After that brilliant statement you said that's super helpful to all of us, you're still a human being. You have itches. It happens.
That's right. Hey, you're getting me at 8 a.m., baby.
Yeah, I know.
The day goes on, I only get better. Worse. Better, worse.
I think that's a good stopping point for today. Would you agree, or is there more that you would like to say about? I think we'll have plenty to say about reacclimating to sports and managing just how to do the things that you love to do with your injury and eating candy. I'm sure we'll talk quite a bit about eating candy down the road.
Bibbidi bum bum.
But, we're excited to be sharing these conversations with you. And we're going to be covering a new topic in TBIs each week, going over listener submitted calls from real life situations. We'll be releasing episodes every Tuesday. Hopefully there'll be less sun coming in and out of my face so it's not so shiny. Please subscribe. Make sure you don't miss any of these fun and important conversations. The content in this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only, not professional advice, and we, the hosts, are not liable for how you lovely listeners use this information. If you need some more support, please contact a therapist or your medical provider, not survivor. If you're having suicidal thoughts, please text 988 for support. Thank you so much, Maria, for your time this lovely Monday morning.
Thank you, Zach. And for those of you still listening, just so you have the phone number to contact.
Yeah, we have a phone number.
We have one, and we would love for you to give us a call and just if you have a friend or a family member with a brain injury, or you yourself have a brain injury, you can leave your question on this voice line, and that number is 774-246-6835. Again, that's 774-246-6835, and we will have that on the screen as well. All right. Thank you, Zach. Enjoy your
Thanks,
beautiful
Maria.
sunny California.
Yeah, enjoy Washington.
I will. All right. Tally ho.
All right, bye. Thank you.